The raccoon is a nocturnal mammal that lives all over the world. These creatures populate lands like cities and wooded areas, and they're pretty common. They're also known as trash pandas, since they're often found rummaging through garbage. And today, I'm gonna be teaching you how to build one. My name is Braxophone, but you can call me Brax, and let's talk about Remembrance Trailblazer. In a lot of gacha games, the main character sucks, but in Honkai Star Rail, they also suck, until you get to Penacony. Harmony Trailblazer was a fantastic add-on to our rosters, but what about Remembrance MC? Are they good? Yes. Well, sometimes no. I mean, kind of. You know what, I'm gonna round up to a yes. RemC, sometimes called by their government name, Remembrance Trailblazer, is essentially a free-to-play Bronya, which is crazy because you can get Bronya free to play. But they're also the first playable Remembrance character, SP positive, and they bring some brand new mechanics to the table. All in all, they are very strong, despite their affinity for garbage. The reason is that RemC has a 100% action forward and a huge crit buff built into their kit. Well, I say RemC, but it's actually all from this thing. This is Mem, but I'm gonna call her Paimem for short.
What?
Paimem is RemC's memo sprite, which is essentially just a fancy word for summon. I guess they had to reserve that terminology for the Fate collab. When you use RemC's skill, they summon Paimem, who has her own static speed stat of 130 and her own character stats as well based on RemC's. Paimem has a gauge that fills with 1% charge for every 10 energy gained by any ally. But technically, it's actually just 0.1% charge per 1 energy since they count decimals. If you skill with Paimem already out, you'll heal her and get 10 bonus charge for a total of 13 after your skill energy. Now, by default, Paimem starts with 50 charge when summoned, and if Paimem dies, Trailblazer gets a 25% action forward, which is probably due to there being less dialogue. With one of RemC's major traces, Paimem gains another 40 charge when summoned, and RemC gets 30% action advance at the start of battle. And when using RemC's ultimate, Paimem gains 40 charge. On top of that, it does some damage, and if Mem isn't out, it summons her. But to be honest, you just really want the charge. If every gacha game going forward is going to force a floating companion on you to regurgitate every dialogue, they might as well make them actually useful. So basically, you start off the fight with 93 charge after summoning Paimem because you start with 50, gain an extra 40 from major traces, and gain 30 energy on skill, leading to 3 more charge. Once Paimem's charge gets to 100, she gets to activate her support ability, which gives an ally 100% action forward, but also true damage. What's true damage? Well, in most games, if you do 100 true damage, you do 100 damage. It's always just straight up damage that ignores debuffs, buffs, and sometimes defensive stats. It is exactly what it says it is, except in Honkai Star Rail, where it's actually entirely different. True damage in Honkai Star Rail is actually a repeat of the damage initially dealt by your character with a multiplier that is a percentage of that damage. For example, if you do 100,000 damage with a 50% true damage multiplier, you'll deal 50,000 true damage, leading to a total of 150,000 damage. Unfortunately, this doesn't do anything for Arlen because 50% of 0 is 0. Paimem with Eidolons on RemC can get up to 30% true damage multiplier to apply to allied damage. But with one of RemC's major traces, every 10 max energy the buffed ally has gives 2% more multiplier, up to a max of 20%. So with allies that have 200 or more max energy, you get 50% true damage total and are him. On top of all of that though, your Pokemon gives your entire team crit damage based on their specific crit damage stat. Paimem's crit damage is based on RemC's before entering combat, but if a character buffs all ally crit damage, Paimem is included in that. The team-wide crit buff makes RemC a solid dual DPS character, but they're also great for everyone who's still single DPS. I mean single DPS. Paimem also has their own attacking action, but it kind of just feels like someone's throwing marshmallows at them. It does give her 5% charge though, and RemC gets 10 energy from it, so it adds an extra 1% charge. Those are most of the upsides of Paimem, but there are some downsides too. Unfortunately, Mem does have her own HP bar and can take enough damage to make you go, who's Mem? As far as their technique, RemC gets to delay actions, but sometimes you don't actually want to do it depending on the character you're playing with. For example, Yunli deals damage from being attacked, so you wouldn't want to use the action delay with her on the team. But their technique is entirely different from any other characters in the game, because no other character can do this. For talent priority, you honestly only really care about Mem's talent and skill, but RemC's skill will give Mem more HP, so I recommend that too. Eidolons on RemC are all free, but if you're too broke for that, you might be my dad. E1 is arguably one of the strongest Eidolons because it gives your Paimon buffed ally a 10% crit rate buff, which is absolutely disgusting. But on top of that, it makes any Memo sprites controlled by that ally also get all of Mem's buffs, making it extra valuable for Remembrance characters. E2 is a huge energy buff for RemC. Every time an ally Memo sprite takes action, it's like Trailblazer injected a caffeinated gamer drink directly into their veins. Plus 8 energy per Memo sprite action once per Trailblazer's turn. E3 is a skill and talent level up, but it also levels up Mem's talent, which could give you a bigger crit buff. E4 though basically unlocks synergy with Fei Xiao and Acheron. It lets characters that don't gain energy still give Paimon charge, which is a nice change to have overall. E5 increases the true damage multiplier for Paimon because it levels up her skill, and E6 gives RemC a 100% crit rate when using their ultimate. Of all of these Eidolons, 6 is kind of the least necessary since it's the last one, but gives the second least value. And debatably, it actually just gives the least value. But with that said, it's free damage and a free Eidolon, so you can still swipe on Castris when she comes around. Or the cat girl, if you're incredibly based. Remembrance MC is basically Bronya, but can't be perfectly speed-tuned. But that's okay because they provide a ton of buffs and can find a lot of value, especially in the newer upcoming summon teams. So with that said, let me show you how to build them. Like when Penacony released, I'm probably gonna pronounce everything wrong again, but I cannot even begin to tell you how excited I am for Amphoreus. In Space Greece, we're checking out a ton of new themes, and with that comes new relics, so you can say goodbye to your 6 months of farming for break effect. There's a brand new relic set called Hero of Triumphant Song, which at the moment is the perfect set for RemC. The 2-piece gives an attack buff, which is, honestly, it doesn't really matter that much, but the 4-piece gives 6% speed, and also increases crit damage for Paimon by 30% whenever she attacks. It doesn't stack multiple times or anything, but that 30% crit damage also affects crit share as well, and overall, it's a great RemC set. But with that said, you can also opt for mixes of 2-piece speed sets to help RemC gain more turns. Another build you can use is the 4-piece Eagle set, which if you remember from my early guides, I mentioned was a great support set for its action forward on ultimate. Since you're aiming to have a ton of actions on RemC and you don't really care about their personal damage, you can embrace your American spirit and go for a full 4-piece Eagle at minimum 140 speed. For planar sets though, you'll likely just want to give you anything that has energy regen, since your goal is to get ultimates on RemC for the Paimon charge. If you have an ice DPS, you can use Penacony, but Von Walk is great in general for that action forward, and Lushanka, one of the newer sets from the end of 2.x, is also really good for its energy gain, and can also give your leftmost DPS an attack buff. If you don't have those for some reason, you can always use Broken Keel, but that should be a last resort unless you really know what you're doing. As for main stats, you'll want a crit damage body, speed boots, any orb, but might as well go ice damage, and an energy regen rope. Ideally, you just want RemC to be as fast as possible, and your substats should be focused on speed, crit damage, and effect res. I'd recommend getting at least 161 speed, but more is better, and if it's lower, it's not gonna brick your account. Here's the build summary for RemC. Unlike our first free ice character, this is pretty easy to remember. Use this one or use that one, they're both free. Wow, we've made it to the team section. I'm so excited to tell you about all of the things, and let's get started. This team lets you achieve victory in a blink, except it's the other light cone. You're not actually using victory in a blink. So I basically only had Shadowburn up on the light cone section because there is one specific tech you can do with Robin and Trailblazer that gains you an extra skill point and allows you to quickly get out Robin's ultimate. Essentially, by running Trailblazer and Robin with the action forward and making them go really, really fast and really early on in the fight, you can skill with Trailblazer, get the extra skill point back from Shadowburn, then you can basic attack with Robin, and once you actually have Mem fully charged, you can action forward Robin, use her skill, and get right into her ultimate super fast while having all of your buffs up. This is a really effective way to play RemC and Robin together, and it's very easy to actually execute. You don't have to have a high knowledge of the game to do it, and it's pretty easy. Now, I'm using Yunli in this team just as an example, but this honestly can apply to any character that you're pairing with Remembrance MC. This could work on Fei Xiao. If you're choosing to play with like Jinglu, this could also work here. This can work with the Herta Sustainless. Like, it genuinely can just work with any character in the game that can utilize both Robin and Harmony Trailblazer. Not Harmony, Remembrance. Dude, it's gonna take so long to unlearn that. But yeah, here's a Yunli team that you can use. I also like to use Sunday here instead of Robin, just because I I mean, because there's too many goddamn women in this game. Not that I don't love women or anything. Actually, I might be the #1 most women lover in the world. But anyways, Sunday can action forward Yunli and give Yunli a ton of energy. And Huohuo also gives energy, and anytime anyone's gaining energy, Mem gets charged. So you can basically just giga charge a ton of energy here. And also Yunli can just use a lot of it. Yunli also gets full benefits from true damage because her max energy is 240 technically. So that means she gets the full on 50% true damage bonus, which is awesome. You can also play Tingyun here because Tingyun also gives energy. Don't worry about speed tuning here because again, it's not really gonna work with this character because this character can't be speed tuned. The same thing applies to Argenti, right? You can play Argenti. He has a ton of max energy and he ults very frequently. Playing him with Sunday or Tingyun here is great. And Huohuo again gets a massive buff by the existence of Remembrance MC. The Herda is really good with Remembrance MC, guys. She seems like she was almost built to work perfectly with that character's kit. That's because she gets energy whenever anyone else says something, and Remembrance MC likes when other people get energy. And she also has a really high max energy, and she can fully take advantage of all the true damage. So if you're pulling for the Herda, you should definitely use her with Remembrance MC because that is really good. And also because she's really hot. But yeah, for all intents and purposes, this is unspeed tunable Giga Bronya. For a lot of characters, Bronya will actually see a lot more value, like speed tuning her to Jingliu and stuff. This just makes more sense to me and just feels a lot easier to actually execute. But Remembrance MC is a lot of fun. There's just so much randomness to this character that they're like basically impossible to math out. And every time you play them, it's going to be completely different. So if you like slot machines, you'll love this character. I don't know why they did this now instead of Penacody though. Also because she has a team-wide crit buff. Well, technically Mem has it, but Memo sprites don't have rights. Running dual DPS comps absolutely works with Remembrance. Running dual DPS comps with Remembrance MC absolutely works because they both benefit from the crit damage buff of the Memo sprite. And you can also play Aventurine here as well because you know, he's kind of cool when he's not bugged. Surely they fixed his bug for 3.0, guys. Surely Aventurine is working as intended and there's no issues. And actually you wouldn't want to put him here. You would want to put Aventurine here. This would make way more sense. If you're playing Remembrance MC with Lushaka, then you want to make sure you have a DPS character on the far left. And if that DPS character needs a ton of energy, like if it's the Herda, you want to put your Sustainer right where I have Remembrance MC. I just like them here because they look really cool in this specific position. Because if I put them over here, what the hell? Now you can barely see them. Is this even a Remembrance MC guide? I don't know. Anyways, this team works out great, especially because Eidolons on Remembrance MC allow you to get charge from Fei Xiao, and everyone's getting the crit damage buff. So overall, very good unit. Wow, very cool. Also can replace Robin, just not as insane for every single character as Robin, but you know what? Pretty damn good nonetheless. I don't really know how to wrap up this video. Make smart poll decisions. Follow me on Twitch. And stay tuned for the Herda video, and let me know in the comments what your favorite anime in the past like 6 months has been. Goodbye forever. I'll never speak with you again. Wait, okay, don't include that. Goodbye forever until the Herda guide comes out.